Alright, so I would like to discuss Sqoop now. Okay, these are nice little quick tools, so we can quickly go through the hands-on exercises. So we'll be going through one exercises through all of these tools like Sqoop, Mahout, Flume, and Uzi, and then we'll just go with one example of each. Okay, so what is Sqoop? Sqoop is a very simple tool for extracting data from databases into Hadoop for further processing. You can move data from SQL databases to HBASE. Okay, and from HBASE to SQL databases, SQL to, so basically, I like to put it here. So on one end, you have, say, SQL databases, and on another end, you have HIVE, HDFS, and HBASE. Okay, so you can move the data from SQL databases to HDFS and HBASE, and you can also take the data back from all of these locations to SQL databases. All right, this side it expects structured data source. I mean, I would like to say it SQL database. Essentially, if you run the command called SQL help, it'll show you all the things it can do. Okay, and I'll like to basically emphasize on something called a connector. By default, Sqoop provides all kind of connectors from all kinds of databases: MySQL, Postgres, Oracle, SQL Server, and so on. Okay, and the connector is something like a very modular component. In case for your database it's not available, you can write the connector, or you can simply take a generic JDBC connector and use that, because probably every database has a JDBC driver for that database, so you can use the same JDBC connector with SQL. All right, so what is so big deal about this tool? It sounds like a straight away query, right? We could have simply exported the files from the database into CSV and brought it into HDFS and loaded it into Hive, right? If I'm in the situation, I would do the same thing. So all I will do is I'll export all my SQL data, copy that into HDFS, and start churning it. But the problem with that approach is that it is not feasible when the data grows bigger. Why is it so? Because the file, the data, and everything, if they are above few GBs, it becomes almost impossible to get it done on time. Okay, then how will Hadoop do it? Or how will Sqoop do it? Sqoop essentially will break down the work of pulling data from SQL into MapReduce. And how will it break down that? Some of the, let's say there is a huge table containing billions of records, and you want to move that into HDFS. What Sqoop will do is it'll assign parts of the table to different MapReduce maps. Okay, it does not have reduce phase, it only have map, because everything is getting done in the map, because there is no aggregation, sorting, or anything. All it has to do is in the map phase, certain subsection of the full table get pulled into the HDFS. Okay, that's what Sqoop does. Sqoop basically converts the copying process into MapReduce and does it at a fast speed. Okay, so we are going to do a quick session. So I'm logging into my SQL, creating a temporary table, and then import that onto my. So right now I'm logging into this machine, which is containing my database, which I want to import. So this is SQL. This machine is basically an SQL. Okay, MySQL, you can see that. Okay, uh, so I can say show databases. It has ScoopX database. Okay, so I'm saying use ScoopX. Nice. So I can say show tables. Nice. We have three tables: employee, sales, and widget. Okay, these are some dummy data we have. We will try to copy this data to Sqoop using standard MapReduce. All right. So here we have already created this database called Sqoop. Okay, and the important part, if you are creating your database, okay, so if you are creating your database, make sure that your database is accessible from all the nodes. Okay, if you're creating a fresh data, so why is it so? Let me this is the only, probably this is the only important part which you all need to know. Okay, so let me try to draw. I'm deleting it. So let's say there is this huge database. Okay, this is a huge database, and there are map 1, map 2, map 3. Okay, so this is like machine A, machine B, and machine C. Okay, these are running, these are trying to take and so this section of the table is being pulled by this. This section of the table is being pulled by B, and this section of the table is being pulled by C, right? Now, and they will basically put it into HDFS. They'll put it into HDFS here. So here you have HDFS. Okay, HDFS is what you have here. All right. So now you can see how bad my handwriting looks. Okay, so basically you have this SQL database on one side and you have these maps. Okay, so this is just a map phase. There is no reduce phase. So just after map phase, it will put the data into HDFS. Okay, so now since every machine A, B, and C, these are three machines. These three machines are going to connect to HDFS. Okay, or let me just try to draw the arrows, or these arrows could have been the other side. Okay, the like this, like this. So A is pulling data from this database, B is pulling data from there, and so on, and taking it to HDFS. Now this table is what I've created as an example. It's already there, so we don't have to create anything here. You can see select star from widgets. Okay, so the data is there. The next thing we are going to do is we are going to execute Sqoop import command. Okay, so that it imports this file into my HDFS. So do I already have, so let me exit from MySQL. Okay, there is no such file. Okay, so let me delete in case it's there. Alright, it's not there. So I can happily execute my import command. It says Sqoop import connect to my HDFS, my JDBC, MySQL database, connect via JDBC to my SQL database, and then take this particular table, and use only one mapper, and here is my login and password. Okay, by default it will bring it to my HDFS. Let's try to see what happens here. Okay, so I hope it's connecting. All right, it says that execute SQL statement from widgets limit 1, and so on. Okay, so it says that my progress is MapReduce 0%. It says it's successful. Let's have a look at the folder. Good. So it has been imported. The table contains, okay, do you see that? The data has been copied from the MySQL database into HDFS. Okay, by default it has put comma separation in the file. Alright, also notice that here it must have created something called widgets.java. You see widgets.java here? So it was created by, you can see that. So it has been created on December 5. We can delete this widgets.java, and then if we run it again, it will create widgets.java for us. Alright, so now the next thing we are going to do is we are going to import. So one is that whatever table we have created, we could import it into Hive by using things like create Hive table. What does create Hive table do? It will create a table in Hive. Okay, it will create a table in Hive, and then we can load the data. We can load the data into that. Okay, so it has created a table in Hive. So select star from widgets. There is no records. Now we can load whatever we had created earlier. That file in HDFS is a standard one. We can basically load the data. So now we have moved the data from Sqoop to Hive. We could do the same thing, all the 3 steps in a single step. Okay, by saying Sqoop import connect to my MySQL and do the Hive import. Okay, next is that we could also import data. All right, the other thing is the other important thing to note is the import into HBASE. Okay, so what is the difference between you can say difference between HBASE and say DB and HBASE? Okay, what's the difference? So in normal DB, no concept of column family. Row key is not mandatory, right? So which means if you move data from DB, say normal SQL DB to HBASE, you have to define column family. Similarly, you'll have to define row key. Okay, so that those features are well provided by Sqoop. Okay, so here, so while importing data from MySQL to HBASE, you need to specify that what is the HBASE table you want to create. Okay, uh, I mean by default it's the same table with the same name. Next is what are the column family. So generally you can import data in one shot into a single column family. Okay, if you want to again import data into multiple column families, you can again import the data from the same table, specifying the different column family. This time the data will go into different column family from the same table. Okay, so you define that for this is my column family and these are the columns. So from the source table, the data from will go into this column family. These columns will be created in this column family. Okay, so let's try to do, and also you could specify who will be our row key, right? So one, we created a column family, also specified who will go into that column family, and what is the definition of the row key. Okay, let's try to see what kind of error do we get. All right, it says that not a viable. We are inside Hive. Okay, so from inside Hive we were running Sqoop. All right now it's trying to connect and it's trying to import data. What does it say? Error during import. No primary key could be found on the table. Please specify one with split by or perform a sequential import with M. Okay, let me just say M1. All right, M1 as in a single map. Okay, so if you are trying to import using multiple maps into HBASE, you need to have, I think this is a new restriction imposed by Sqoop, saying that you have to specify the number of, if you are specifying number of maps, the division will be based on primary key. The division of work will be based on primary key. All right. So if you want to have multiple maps, you need to define a primary key on your table. All right. So we have been able to successfully load data into widgets column family. Okay. So let's just check. So we could say scan widgets. So you can see it has imported 1, 2, 3 rows, and for first row these are the values in the column family CF1, price, and so on. Okay, we could also run, say there is we want to import things into column family called CF3. Okay, in the same fashion you could also run it into CF3. So now in the same table, same rows, one more column family will be created and the data will get imported. That's the nice thing about Sqoop, that it creates that column family even after it's done. Okay, even after the table has been created. Right now, we could also do the reverse. We could also say export. Okay, all right. Do the reverse, as in take the data from Hive to MySQL. Let's say we have a file called sales.log in HDFS, and then we have this Hive table created on top of the sales file. So we are on this page, we are creating dummy data which we want to export from Hive to the MySQL. Okay, so you first basically create the sales log. Okay, and then once you're done with that, then you start importing that. Let's just check if we have already. Okay, so before moving that, let's just check the results of previous command. In previous command we were trying to import the data into column family 3, CF3. Okay, so let's say scan, what was the name of the table? It was widgets. Good. So CF3 has been created for every column. You can see CF3 here. CF3 has been created for all columns. All right. You can see. Good. All right. Now we want to see how we move the data from Hive to MySQL. Okay. All right. Now let's try to create the take the data from Hive to MySQL. Okay. Now we have, let's open Hive. Now in Hive, let's say select star from sales. Okay. So right now sales has got some data. Okay. So let's say there is this sales data, and then we want to, this is the creation of the sample data, and then we want to export from here to there. Okay, so we can simply say Sqoop export, Sqoop export, and then this. Okay, let's see what happens. All right. So yeah, there is some data type mismatch. You can see there is some data type mismatch. If you fix that, everything will be all right. Okay. All right. So that was pretty much with respect to importing data in using Sqoop. All right. So thank you very much and see you tomorrow. Bye bye. Have a great day.